Welcome back to the show, everybody. This week we'll be debunking another MAGA conspiracy theory using facts and common sense. This week we'll be talking about the whole stolen election of 2020 and how they're already setting it up to be the same exact excuse
We're
this
using the
time
same
around.
language.
Yeah,
Same language.
except now this time they're going to blame it on illegal immigrants because the Democrats they're saying the Democrats are
What are
purposefully
we
letting
busting
people come
in?
across the border, right?
Yeah.
And then as soon as we say hi to them, we go ahead and register them to vote.
Give them a Visa MasterCard.
Right. It's so dumb on so many levels.
Well, I mean, everything they believe is dumb because they don't believe in facts. They believe in confirmation bias.
Right.
They only believe what confirms their existing beliefs.
We have definitive proof from the Heritage Foundation that mass voter fraud in the United States is not a problem. Mike also has some numbers that shows the same thing. It's not a problem. Our elections are extremely secure. So we're going to get into all of that. Plus, Elon Musk has decided to campaign for Donald Trump and is making some pretty costly mistakes. We'll get into that here in a second. But first, I saw this video right before we recorded this session here that confirms everything Mike and I have said since day one about Donald Trump. He wants to be the modern day Hitler. Okay, we can stop sugarcoating it. It's now been confirmed. I have a video of what is I can't remember his title now. Formerly Homeland Security official. His name's Kevin Carroll. Let me play his video testimony for us all here.
He certainly admires Hitler. I mean, he frequently said to senior staff, why don't my generals support me the way that Hitler's generals supported him? And of course, Hitler's generals, for the most part, did not support him. They tried to assassinate him several times. But just the fact that the president would think of himself, the fact that President Trump would think of himself in the same sentence as Hitler is a terrifying thing. The man quotes Hitler. I mean, phrases like poisoning the blood of the country and enemies of the people, those are things said by Hitler and Stalin as well. And it's not as if he's accidentally quoting them. When it's brought to his attention, sir, you just quoted Hitler. You just quoted Stalin or Lenin. He doesn't mind. He says it again.
Yeah.
What's fascinating is we all know how important it is to learn from history. That's why they're trying to get rid of it in schools. Donald Trump is not a student of history. Donald Trump picks and chooses what he hears that he thinks he could use to make himself super powerful, and everyone will just worship him. We've seen the video plenty of times. We've shown it here where he's talking. I think we showed it last week where he's talking about how he wants to be respected like Kim Jong-un's people, but respect really means fear, and he wants them to stand up and praise him whenever he walks into a room. He talks, I mean, the gentleman said it there, the phrases he uses aren't just Hitler-esque, they are fascist. You have to convince a group of people that someone from else within your country are the enemy, so you could use that hatred and division to overthrow the government, and everyone's like, you saved us, dear leader. That's what he's doing.
So guess what? If Donald Trump is truly the modern day Hitler, guess what Project 2025 is? The roadmap, the plan.
I'll take it one step further. The guy's talked about mass deportations, and he's actually used the word camps.
Yeah, and he's talking about turning the military on our own population. I mean, that's
the guy's telling you, and that's another sign of his mental decline.
Yeah,
he doesn't have the ability to keep it quiet. He is telling you because it's all he can think of now because he's so desperate and so afraid. Fascism is all he has left. That's his identity. He's telling you.
Well, let's get into the whole rigged election deal because we've been dealing with that for 4 years now, and it looks like we're going to be dealing with it for a lot longer.
It's been 4 years since that ridiculous asshole tried to take over this country, and people still believe that the election was rigged.
Still,
I
here's a
don't
video of Donald
don't
Trump just repeating this over and over throughout the years.
We will win back the White House. We will make America great again.
They shouldn't arrest people for saying the election was rigged, but they like that.
They come at me from left. They come at me from right. They're looking for the people that rigged the election, and that's the people they go after. They got away with something. They're never going to get away with it again. The rhinos, the communists, the Marxists, the fascists, the people that want to find out where the cheating was. And by the way, 82% of the country understands that it was a rigged election, okay?
That's a lie. We have those numbers.
2016. We had a rigged election in 2020, but got more votes than any sitting president. Great in 2016. A lot of people don't know. We did much better in 2020. We won. We won.
Oh my God! Like, aren't people just tired of this? Like, he wants to go.
No,
he just can't let go of the past. Though he's talking about taking us back to like 1798.
Well,
like, who wants to go back to that?
I saw something interesting today. I can't believe you mentioned that, and I wish I took notes about it. But someone made a point today that the reason he says 1798 is because the Logan Act was passed in 1799. But I'll tell you right now that is giving Donald Trump too much credit, because we're at the point now where we used to try and understand the difference between if he was crazy or he was just full of shit or if he knew what he was talking about. All those are gone. He has no clue what he's talking about anymore. So he holds on to the things and repeats them. And all he has is this obsession with the election. And unfortunately, he pushed that so hard that now that that's all he has, it's enough to keep his rabid followers going. Still got to mention the election. Still got to mention the election. But did the election get stolen? No, because how many court cases has he lost? How many court cases got thrown out? And if we look at the numbers,
it's
the numbers
almost
don't
70,
lie.
I believe, isn't it? Or
well, let's take a look. Majority of Republicans and nearly half of independents are not confident in the 2020 presidential election results. Democrats, 10% of them are not confident. I don't know who those people are. Republicans, 51% of Republicans think that the election was stolen. Okay, so they think the election was stolen because that's all they've been told by Donald Trump and Fox News and their little corporate hellhole media. All right, let's keep going. Majority of Republicans and independents believe unfounded voter fraud claims. Mail-in and absentee ballots not being recorded correctly, 84%. Votes being cast on behalf of dead people, 82%. Voting machines not recording votes correctly, 77%. Non-U.S. citizens voting illegally, that's important. Remember that number, 80%. Voters casting more than one ballot, 72%. Republicans are insane people. But again, this is all because, and what these numbers show you, and what I'm going to show you from this point forward, is how the propaganda takes hold. So remember those numbers, why that people, Republicans, think the election was stolen. A lot of them think illegal people are voting and stuff like that. Okay. This is a PBS NewsHour poll. This is to general audience. What is the biggest threat to keeping our elections safe and accurate? 35% polled, misleading information. Then you got voter fraud, voter suppression, foreign interference, whatever. 35% misleading information. Hold on here. The same polling group, on the whole, do you think it is easy or hard to tell the difference between what is fact and what is misleading information? 59% of people polled say it's hard. So we have a lot of people that are afraid that misleading information is interfering with the election. And we have a lot of the people that think that it's very hard to tell the difference between what's true or not. So now when you have people that have no critical thinking skills and or are inundated with not just misinformation, but intentional disinformation, known as propaganda, you now have a huge voting base that believes what they were told when it's a lie to begin with. But this is the part that gets me. Because if you look now, Jeremy said it, those videos show it, the most important thing that they think now is that illegals are voting. Okay? That is the sticking point. They've been talking about, right, Kamala Harris bringing in people from asylums and all over the place so they could vote in the election and steal the election. Let's look at that. Can non-citizens vote? The Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act of 1996 explicitly prohibits non-citizens from voting in federal elections. It is not legal in any state for a non-citizen to cast a ballot in a federal election. Okay. How do election offices verify voter citizenship status? The process of verifying voter citizenship varies across the United States. The National Voter Registration Act of 1993 requires states to use a common voter registration form, which includes, under penalty of perjury, an attestation that the applicant is a U.S. citizen. So, no non-citizens are allowed to vote anywhere.
Right.
You have to prove that you're a citizen to be registered to vote. So how many, right? Because that could be tricked.
Yep.
Oh, get by.
I bet it's just this huge number, right?
How many? How many do you think? Yes. Have there been documented cases of non-citizens voting? Great. A BPC analysis of the Heritage Foundation's election fraud cases database found only 77 instances of non-citizens voting between 1999 and 2023. So it's 24 years, 77. A study conducted by the Brennan Center for Justice, analyzing 23.5 million votes across 42 jurisdictions in the 2016 general election, concluded that there were approximately 30 instances of non-citizens voting.
Yep.
Out of 23.5 million.
30.
So
huge number. Huge.
What people don't understand is if somehow all these magical numbers of illegals voting, which can't, went up huge enough to affect an election, which would never happen, we'd know about it, because those numbers show that it doesn't happen in any number that could ever affect anything.
I want to go back to the conspiracy part of this for a moment, because Elon Musk has decided to go onto the campaign trail and dig up an $800 million conspiracy theory and is decided to fame Dominion voting system. How genius? I don't think so. I can't. Yeah, you're gonna say the guy. Okay. Anyway. I just, every time somebody gets like, oh, Elon Musk is such a genius, I'm like, no, he's an idiot. Just look on Twitter. Twitter's a toxic place, but if you want to see how smart the richest man in the world really is, this so-called genius, all you got to do is go on there for 5 minutes.
You could also listen to him speak.
Yes. So let's play the video, because it's terrible.
You have mail-in ballots and no sort of proof of citizenship. It becomes almost impossible to prove cheating is the issue. There are some very strange things that happen that are statistically incredibly unlikely. So, there's always a sort of question of, like, say, the Dominion voting machines. It is weird that I think they're used in Philadelphia and in Maricopa County, but not in a lot of other places. And that's
my God,
coincidence.
Yep. He's got a lot more money than Fox News does too.
I want to point something out. His central argument there, you could call it that, was that mail-in ballots are being filled out by illegals, because he's talking about mail-in ballots, and then he's saying it's hard to prove citizenship.
He doesn't know how they work.
The National Voter Registration Act of 1993. All right, I'm not going to go it again, but you see my point. He is not that smart. He's a entrepreneur. He's a Nepo baby who got money and bought companies and is playing rich billionaire. The guy's a moron. The laws are in place. You're done.
That somebody would come here illegally per his brother. So... And even Elon Musk says that's a gray area. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, but look at Donald Trump.
Did come here with however much money you came here with? You know what I mean? Nobody really, I guess, knows for sure. Does anybody actually know that number? I don't know. But
enough
then you
to
come
buy
here,
companies.
you exploit capitalism and everything that America has to offer for the super wealthy. And then you use that money to overthrow the fucking democracy that you live in and made all your money in. You know what I mean?
You know, this isn't even unprecedented. The Republican Party and the voters, the Republican voting base, love Elon Musk, an immigrant who is destroying this country, has ruined a large portion of social media, and is actively trying to destroy our democracy. They also take most of their news from Rupert Murdoch, who's an immigrant who is using capitalism to destroy our democracy. The Republican Party doesn't hate immigrants. They hate brown immigrants. That's it.
That's exactly right.
But they love voter fraud.
Right. Speaking of voter fraud, let's get to that Heritage video. Kevin Roberts for the Heritage Foundation went on MSNBC and let the cat out of the bag on exactly how many cases of voter fraud they are aware of.
Going to accept the results of the 2024 election, regardless of the outcome.
Yes, if there isn't massive fraud like there was in 2020.
What does that mean?
If there isn't massive fraud.
Do you believe that there was not massive fraud?
There was massive fraud. We have an election fraud database that has documented that over years. By the way, the Heritage Foundation has been concerned about election integrity for decades, not just about 2020. We've been documenting this problem for a very long time. And if one of the
I believe, according to the Heritage Foundation, sir, by your count, Heritage Foundation has done an investigation, and according to your count, there have been 1,513 proven instances of voter fraud across the United States since 1982.
Yeah, that's probably
1,513.
Because they're very hard to document. And the Democrat Party is very good at fraud.
Your report that you said is lying. She just talked right over him and threw his words back in his evil, weaselly little face.
Right. So 1,500 and some odd cases since 1982.
Oh, but that number is only like 1%. You just said what the number is. So now you're arbitrarily making, that's only 1% of it. Well, why didn't you say that? Because the way those words were crafted, you were saying we only found this much. You didn't say we only found this much, but we suspect it's much higher.
So all right. So this is 1982. So what's that? 42 years. So they either suck at their jobs or there is no voter fraud. That's basically the two scenarios. Either they're just very bad at finding it, or there isn't any. I'm going to go ahead and say they're good at finding it. They're not idiots.
Very good.
Right. So there is no voter fraud is what I'm getting at. And I wish people would stop.
Well, how about this? There's such a negligible amount. It is impossible statistically for it to have any effect on anything.
Exactly.
So when they keep scapegoating it, they're full of shit. They're lying to you.
Yep. So that's all we have for today's episode. Please, if you like what we had to say, like and subscribe, share the video with your friends, leave a comment. It helps us with that stupid algorithm.
The algorithm.
Yep. Other than that, like always, we'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.